Hey everyone, Annie Thompson here, and welcome to the U.S. Crime Line. We've got some intense and heartbreaking events to cover today, so let's dive right in. This past week, pop star Britney Spears found herself in serious trouble with the law. Authorities reported that she was driving erratically on a Southern California highway, speeding, swerving in and out of lanes, and it all unfolded on the evening of March 4th. The California Highway Patrol got reports about a black BMW moving dangerously fast, weaving between lanes on U.S. Highway 101 in Ventura County. When officers caught up with the vehicle, a 2026 black BMW 430i convertible, the driver was identified as 44-year-old Britney Spears. After pulling her over, officers noticed signs of impairment and asked her to perform field sobriety tests. Britney agreed but was subsequently arrested on suspicion of DUI. She was taken to a nearby facility where she was booked early Thursday morning and released a few hours later under a cite and release policy. Her car was towed from the scene. A blood sample was taken to check her blood alcohol content, but those results are still pending. It's important to note that under California law, drivers can be charged with DUI even if their blood alcohol content is below 0.08%, especially if their driving behavior shows impairment. Following the arrest, Britney's representative described the incident as unfortunate and said she intends to fully cooperate with the authorities moving forward. The statement also mentioned that Britney's family and loved ones plan to support her and help her focus on her well-being. This comes amid a turbulent time in her life, with major personal and professional changes over the past few years. You might remember her long conservatorship, which ended in 2021 after 13 years, and more recently, she sold her music catalog, though financial details weren't disclosed. Just hours before the arrest, Britney had shared several videos on social media dancing at home, but her Instagram account has since been deactivated. The DUI investigation continues as authorities await her blood test results. Shifting gears, let's talk about a tragic and disturbing road rage incident in Virginia that turned deadly last week. On March 1st, along Interstate 495 near the community of Annandale, about 30 minutes outside Washington, D.C., a property damage crash quickly escalated into violence. At around 1:17 p.m., Virginia State Police were dispatched after reports of a road rage incident linked to the crash. When officers arrived, they found a man, 32-year-old Jared Yamato from Milan, Virginia, attacking multiple people with a knife. 4 women were stabbed in the attack: 39-year-old Michelle Adams, 36-year-old Dana Bennell, 37-year-old Mary C. Flood, and 40-year-old Heather Miller. Tragically, Michelle Adams later died from her injuries. Yamato also fatally stabbed his own dog during the confrontation. It appears he didn't know any of the victims beforehand. Dispatch audio indicated the situation spiraled out of control very quickly. When the responding trooper confronted Yamato, he was still armed with the knife, and the officer fired his weapon in self-defense. Yamato was seriously injured and later died in the hospital. The trooper was unharmed. Authorities shut down parts of Interstate 495 during the investigation, and officials have said the stabbings don't appear to be terror-related, but likely stemmed from a road rage dispute connected to the crash. In digging into Yamato's background, it's reported that he worked as a Foreign Service officer with the U.S. Department of State in a diplomatic technology role. He graduated magna cum laude from George Mason University in 2015 with a degree in applied information technology and had worked as a network engineer before joining the State Department in September 2024. He had been living in Copenhagen, Denmark, but had recently returned to the U.S. His final social media post was a photo with friends captioned, "Dinner with my longtime friends and co-workers." The investigation into this tragic incident remains ongoing. Back in Southern California, a bizarre armed standoff unfolded near a school zone this week, ending in a way few could have predicted. On the morning of March 4th, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department responded to reports of a man firing a gun in a residential neighborhood in Santa Clarita. The shots were near a school zone, prompting swift action. When deputies arrived, they found the man had barricaded himself inside a nearby home. the Sheriff's Department deployed its Special Enforcement Bureau, their tactical unit, along with crisis negotiators. A perimeter was set up, and nearby schools went into a temporary soft lockdown as a precaution, though no injuries were reported. Local news helicopters captured SWAT teams evacuating neighbors while firefighters stood by. After about 2 hours, the suspect finally surrendered, but in a surprising fashion. He emerged from the home without any pants, with what looked like a red pair of shoes trailing from one ankle. Despite the odd scene, the man was taken into custody without further incident and was charged with illegally discharging a firearm within a school zone. Authorities have not released the suspect's name, but indicated he may have been experiencing a mental health crisis. The investigation into the shooting and standoff is still underway. Moving to Ohio, a chilling update in a murder case has surfaced that has left a community shocked. On October 23, 2025, police were called to a home in London, Ohio, after 35-year-old Kyle Long reported that his wife, 32-year-old Rachel Long, had stabbed herself in their master bathroom. When officers arrived, they found Rachel collapsed in a pool of blood with multiple severe injuries to her neck, face, arms, and hands. Sadly, she was pronounced dead at the scene. Kyle claimed he was in the master bedroom when Rachel came home from work, went to the bathroom, and then began stabbing herself. However, police quickly became suspicious. Rachel had been stabbed at least 17 times, many wounds appeared defensive, and injuries to her right arm and hand didn't match Kyle's claim that she used only her right hand to stab herself. Investigators found evidence of a struggle in the home, and Kyle's statements were inconsistent, including how many times he called 911. Further, Rachel's phone showed no signs she planned to harm herself. In fact, minutes before her death, she was texting a friend about outfits for an upcoming concert. Kyle did reveal that Rachel had asked to separate from their marriage before her death, which police believe may have been his motive. After over 4 months of investigation, Kyle Long was arrested on March 4, 2026, and charged with her murder. Rachel was known as a devoted mother of 2, a pet grooming business owner, animal lover, and rock concert fan. Kyle remains in custody on a $1.5 million bond. In southwestern Ontario, authorities are investigating a politically charged homicide following the fatal stabbing of 45-year-old Nancy Gual on March 3rd. Nancy was working as a personal support worker at a residence in the town of Lell when she was attacked. Investigators believe she may have been specifically targeted rather than randomly attacked. The case took a disturbing turn after a social media account promoting Sikh extremist views claimed responsibility for the killing. The account, posting in Punjabi, shared Nancy's photo and accused her of criticizing the Khalistan movement, warning others against doing the same. For context, the Khalistan movement seeks a Sikh homeland in Punjab, India. While most supporters advocate politically, extremist factions have been linked to violent incidents, including the 1985 Air India bombing, the deadliest terror attack in Canadian history. Authorities haven't confirmed the social media claim or connected it officially to the murder, but they are exploring all leads. This wasn't Nancy's first brush with threats. In November 2025, her nearby home's porch was set on fire by an unknown person. Nancy had spoken openly to CBC about being harassed and intimidated for her activism against Sikh extremism, reporting over 3 dozen death threats to Windsor police. Nancy was a prominent figure in the local and international Punjabi communities, known for her strong social media presence and vocal opposition to the Khalistani movement. Police have not released an official motive or suspects yet, and the investigation is ongoing. In Las Vegas, Nevada, a Canadian tourist was arrested on multiple animal cruelty charges after allegedly stealing a live flamingo from the outdoor wildlife habitat at the Flamingo Hotel. The incident happened early morning on March 3rd. Surveillance footage showed 33-year-old Mitchell Fairborn from Ontario climbing into the flamingo enclosure at around 5 a.m. and chasing the birds. Police say Fairborn managed to grab several flamingos, including one named Peachy. He carried the bird out of the habitat, chased it through a hallway, and even posed for selfies, during which he allegedly choked the bird. Fairborn told police he had been drinking heavily and claimed he took the flamingo because he believed its wing was injured. He said he brought it to his room to try to pop the wing back into place, a practice he claimed to know from his farm upbringing. Hotel staff found out and alerted authorities. Fairborn was arrested and charged with 4 counts of animal cruelty. Peachy is now under care by the hotel's veterinary team, with hopes for a full recovery. Caesars Entertainment, owner of the Flamingo Hotel, noted this wasn't the first time animals in the habitat have been harmed. A similar incident in 2012 led to a conviction and jail time for an intoxicated visitor. Fairborn is currently held at the Clark County Detention Center with bail set at $12,000. Turning to New York, a teenager is being hailed a hero after protecting his sister during a horrifying domestic violence attack that tragically ended with their mother's death. The early morning attack on February 28th took place inside an apartment on Sherman Avenue in the Bronx's Concourse neighborhood. Police responded after a 911 caller reported an assault and blood coming from underneath the apartment door. Inside were 42-year-old Yenia Hall and her 16-year-old son, both stabbed multiple times. Yenia suffered wounds to her back, stomach, and neck. Her son had cuts on his neck and back. Both were rushed to Lincoln Medical Center. Sadly, Yenia died, but her son survived and was listed in stable condition. The suspect is 45-year-old Juan Rivas, Yenia's boyfriend who lived with the family. Investigators believe the violence started around 6:30 a.m. when Yenia's children were awakened by their mother's screams. Yenia's daughter, 22-year-old Jayla Maldonado, shared that as she ran toward her mother's room, her younger brother stopped her, shielding her from the attacker. Prosecutors say Rivas then turned on the teenager, stabbing him multiple times. Meanwhile, Jayla called 911 as the fight continued. Another sibling, a 12-year-old boy, stayed in his bedroom during the attack. After the assault, Rivas fled, changed clothes, but police arrested him later that day. Neighbors heard threats and screams, including Yenia saying, "I'm going to die," before silence. Rivas faces multiple charges including murder, attempted murder, manslaughter, assault, weapon possession, and endangering a child. At his arraignment, he was held without bail. The family is devastated, with Jayla now stepping up to care for her younger siblings. The investigation continues. In southern Utah, a suspect is in custody after a terrifying multi-state manhunt following the discovery of 3 murdered women in the same area. The investigation began on March 4th when 2 women were found dead along a hiking trail in Wayne County, a popular tourist spot that includes Torrey. The victims were identified as 65-year-old Linda Dway and 34-year-old Natalie Graves, who was Linda's niece. Soon after, police found a third victim, 86-year-old Margaret Oldroyd, in a cellar under a shed on her property after noticing blood and drag marks. Margaret's Buick was found abandoned near the trail where Linda and Natalie were killed. A white Subaru Outback belonging to one of the women was missing, leading police to suspect Margaret was killed first, her car taken to the trail, then Linda and Natalie were killed. A large investigation and search followed, with residents warned to stay cautious and schools closing for 2 days. Authorities tracked the missing Subaru through license plate readers, showing it traveled from Utah into Colorado. On March 5th, 22-year-old Ivan Miller from Blakesburg, Iowa, was found and arrested near Pagosa Springs, Colorado. Miller told police he killed the women to steal their vehicles and credit cards because he needed money to get back to Iowa. He claimed he hit an elk earlier, wrecked his truck, sold it to a towing company, stayed in a hotel, then secretly slept in Margaret's shed before shooting her while she watched TV. He said he didn't like Margaret's car, so he drove to the trail where he found Natalie and Linda getting out of the Subaru, murdered them, and fled in the second vehicle. Miller said, "It had to be done, but he did not like it." Miller reportedly didn't know the victims. His brother said Miller left home about 2.5 weeks earlier for a cross-country road trip, told him about the elk accident, and refused help returning to Iowa. The brother described Miller as a habitual liar with untreated mental health issues. Miller faces 3 counts of aggravated murder and weapons offenses. the investigation continues. Thanks for sticking with me through these intense and sometimes heartbreaking updates. I'm Annie Thompson, and you're watching the U.S. Crime Line. Your support means everything, whether it's a like, a share, or subscribing to the channel. Your support is deeply appreciated. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.